The highway project ran through a wide stretch of dry land far from the city. For years, nothing had changed in this area. Only dust, wind, and long open space could be seen in every direction. Now, heavy machines and workers filled the land with noise and movement. The government had approved a new highway to connect two major towns, and the work had been going on for months. Every morning, trucks arrived before sunrise. Workers put on their helmets, picked up their tools, and followed the same routine. Dig. Clear soil. Move forward. Most days were boring and tiring, but everyone kept working because the job paid well. One of the workers was a man named Ravi. He was in his early 30s and had worked on construction sites for most of his life. Ravi was not loud and did not joke much with others. He preferred to focus on his work and finish his tasks quietly. Other workers respected him because he was reliable and never caused trouble. That morning felt like any other. The sun rose slowly, turning the sky light orange. The air was already warm, and dust floated around as machines started running. Ravi picked up his digging tool and walked to his assigned spot. His task was simple. Dig deeper so the road base could be prepared. Ravi pushed the tool into the ground again and again. The soil was hard but normal. Sweat ran down his face as he worked. Around him, machines roared and workers shouted instructions to each other. Everything felt routine. Then suddenly, Ravi felt a strong resistance. His tool hit something solid. The sound was sharp and heavy, not like the usual rocks or metal pipes they sometimes found. Ravi stopped moving. He pulled the tool back and hit the spot again. The same solid sound echoed. He frowned and knelt down. Using his hands, he brushed the dirt away slowly. A large rock appeared, but it looked strange. It was smoother than normal rocks and had a round shape. The surface was clean, almost polished, as if water or human hands had shaped it carefully. Ravi called out to a nearby worker. Soon, two more men came closer and looked at the rock. At first, they laughed and said it was just another stone that needed to be removed. But Ravi felt something was different. As more soil was cleared, a thin straight line appeared across the middle of the rock. It looked like a cut, very even and very precise. Natural rocks usually broke in rough ways, but this line was smooth. The workers grew quiet. Someone called the site manager, a man named Arjun. He walked over with a serious expression and studied the rock carefully. He touched it and then stood up slowly. Stop all machines, Arjun said firmly. Within minutes, the loud noise faded. Engines were turned off. The sudden silence made the place feel strange. Dozens of workers gathered around the spot, whispering to each other. Arjun asked Ravi how deep the rock was. Ravi shook his head and said he was not sure. The rock seemed larger than what they could see. Arjun decided they should clear more soil by hand. Ravi and two others carefully removed dirt from around the rock. As they worked, more of it appeared. It was much bigger than expected, buried deep under the ground. The strange straight line continued all the way around it, like the rock was made of two parts joined together. Someone said it looked like a container. Another worker joked that it might be treasure. A few laughed, but most stayed quiet. There was a strange feeling in the air, a mix of fear and curiosity. Ravi placed his hand on the rock again. It felt warm, which made no sense. The ground around it was cool. He quickly pulled his hand back. Arjun noticed and asked what was wrong. Ravi told him the rock felt warm. Arjun frowned but said nothing. As more dirt was removed, the rock became fully visible. It was not a normal rock at all. It was shaped too perfectly, almost like an egg, standing upright in the soil. The workers stepped back. No one spoke for a moment. Then, without warning, a low vibration passed through the ground. It was light but noticeable. Ravi felt it under his feet. A few workers lost balance and stepped back quickly. Arjun ordered everyone to move away. The vibration stopped as suddenly as it had started. Dust fell from the sides of the hole. The rock remained still, but the thin line across it seemed darker now, more visible than before. A senior engineer arrived after being called. He examined the object and took pictures. He said they should inform higher authorities before doing anything else. The site was sealed off. Guards were placed around the area, and workers were told to take a break. Rumors spread quickly. Some said it was an ancient object. Others said it could be dangerous. Ravi sat on a nearby stone, watching the hole from a distance. His heart was beating fast. He had worked many years in construction, but he had never seen anything like this. As the sun moved higher in the sky, officials arrived in vehicles. They talked quietly and pointed at the object. Equipment was brought in to scan it, but no one touched it. One official leaned close and suddenly stepped back. His face had turned pale. The warmth was increasing. Ravi could feel it even from where he sat. The object in the ground was no longer just a strange find. It was something that should not have been there. And whatever was hidden inside was waiting to be discovered. The area around the highway site no longer felt like a normal workplace. By the afternoon, the place was filled with officials, engineers, and guards. Yellow tape blocked the road. Workers stood far back, watching quietly. No one was allowed near the object except a small team chosen by the authorities. Ravi remained on site because he was the one who had discovered it. An officer asked him to explain everything again. Ravi spoke calmly and told them how his tool had struck the object and how it felt warm. The officer listened closely and wrote notes. A team of engineers brought scanning machines and placed them around the hole. They moved slowly and carefully, as if the object could react at any moment. The machines showed strange readings. The shape inside the ground was hollow, not solid like a normal rock. "This is not natural," one engineer said quietly. The words spread fear among those standing nearby. Arjun, the site manager, asked what it could be. The engineer shook his head. He said he had never seen anything like it before. The material did not match stone, metal, or concrete. As the sun began to lower, the warmth from the object increased. The air above the hole felt heavy. Ravi noticed sweat forming on his arms, even though he was standing in the shade. Suddenly, a soft sound came from inside the object. It was low and deep, like something moving slowly. Several people stepped back at once. Guards tightened their hold on their equipment. One official spoke into a radio and requested more support. Within an hour, more vehicles arrived. The site now looked more like a restricted zone than a construction area. A senior officer named Mehul took control. He ordered the workers to be sent home, except Ravi, and Ravi was asked to stay nearby. Ravi felt nervous but agreed. He wanted to know what he had uncovered. As night fell, powerful lights were set up around the hole. The object reflected the light in a dull glow. The straight line across it became more visible, glowing faintly as if heat was building inside. Mehul called in a group of experts from the city. They arrived late at night. These experts wore protective gear and spoke very little. They examined the object closely and checked the readings again. One of them said the object had been buried for a very long time. Another said it was sealed on purpose. That word stayed in Ravi's mind. Sealed. The experts discussed whether to open it. Some argued that it could be dangerous. Others said it could be an important discovery. In the end, Mehul decided they would not open it that night. The area would be guarded until morning. Ravi was allowed to sit in a temporary tent nearby. He could not sleep. His thoughts kept returning to the moment he touched the object. The warmth. The strange feeling. It was as if the ground had been hiding a secret for years, waiting for someone to find it. Near midnight, Ravi noticed something strange. The lights around the hole flickered for a moment. Then they returned to normal. A guard walked closer to check the power supply. At that moment, the ground shook slightly. Not enough to cause panic, but enough for everyone to feel it. The straight line across the object began to glow brighter. A soft hum filled the air. The experts rushed forward, shouting warnings. Guards raised alarms and stepped back. Mehul ordered everyone to move away. The hum grew louder. The warmth spread outward, making the ground hot to touch. Dust rose from the hole as the object shifted slightly. Ravi watched in shock as the line across the object slowly began to open. Just a small gap formed, releasing a faint light from inside. The light was not harsh. It was calm and steady. Everyone froze. The experts shouted to shut down the lights and power systems. They feared interference. As the artificial lights went off, the glow from the object became clearer. The gap stopped widening. The hum faded slowly. The ground became still again. Silence filled the site. No one spoke for a long time. One expert finally said that the object had responded to something. Heat, light, or human presence. Mehul ordered the site locked down completely. No one was allowed to leave or enter without permission. Messages were sent to higher authorities. This was no longer a local matter. Ravi felt a deep sense of fear mixed with responsibility. If he had not hit that object, it might have remained hidden forever. At dawn, a special transport team arrived. Their goal was to lift the object and move it to a secure location. The engineers prepared heavy equipment designed to lift massive structures. As they attached supports around the object, Ravi noticed markings near the opening line. They were small and carved carefully. Not letters he recognized, but symbols that looked intentional. He told one of the experts, who examined them closely. The expert's face grew serious. He said the markings were not random. They were a form of warning. The lifting process began slowly. As the object rose from the ground for the first time in centuries, the warmth increased again. The hum returned, stronger than before. Ravi felt the ground vibrate under his feet. The object was reacting again. And this time, it felt like it was waking up. The lifting machines moved slowly, pulling the strange object higher from the ground. Thick cables tightened around it, and the metal arms of the crane shook under the weight. Everyone watched in silence. Even the guards stopped talking. The only sound was the low hum coming from inside the object. Ravi stood behind a safety line with a group of officials. His eyes stayed fixed on the object. The warmth in the air was stronger now. It felt like standing near a fire, even though the morning air was cool. As the object rose, more of its surface became visible. It was smooth all over, without cracks or damage. The strange markings near the opening line were now clearer. They circled the object like a message meant to be read from every direction. One expert named Nalin stepped closer to study the markings. He used a camera and scanning tool. His face was serious. He told Mehul that the symbols repeated in a pattern. This suggested planning and intelligence. Mehul asked a simple question. Who could have made this? No one answered. The object was finally lifted free from the ground. The hole beneath it was deep and dark, showing that the object had been placed there carefully, not dropped by chance. Engineers looked inside the hole and found no debris. The space had been prepared long ago. The crane moved the object slowly onto a flat platform. As soon as it touched the surface, the hum changed. It became softer but faster, like a heartbeat. Ravi felt uneasy. The sound felt alive. Suddenly, one of the lights flickered again. Then, another. The glow from the opening line brightened. The gap widened just a little more. Warm light spilled out, touching the ground. Guards shouted warnings. Experts backed away. Mehul ordered everyone to keep distance. The object was opening on its own. The gap stopped again, but now it was wide enough to see inside. The light came from deep within. It was not fire. It was smooth and steady, almost calming. Nalin adjusted his scanner and checked the readings. His voice shook slightly as he spoke. The inside was filled with energy. Not heat alone, but something else. Something active. Mehul decided they could not keep the object at the highway site. It was too risky. Orders were given to move it immediately to a secure research center far from the public. A heavy transport vehicle arrived. The object was carefully secured inside a reinforced container. Cooling systems were added around it to control the temperature. The hum faded slightly once it was enclosed. Ravi was told to go home and rest. But he refused. He said he needed to see this through. Mehul allowed him to join the transport as a witness. The journey took several hours. The convoy moved slowly along empty roads. Guards blocked traffic ahead. Ravi sat inside one of the vehicles, staring at the container through a small window. As the sun climbed higher, the hum returned. It was louder than before. The container shook slightly. Warning lights flashed on the control panels. The transport team stopped the vehicles. Engineers checked the systems. The cooling units were working, but the energy inside the object was increasing. Nalin said something important. The object was responding to movement. It did not want to be taken away. Before anyone could respond, the hum turned into a deep vibration. The container shook harder. Bolts rattled. The guards stepped back. Then everything went quiet. The hum stopped. The lights returned to normal. For a moment, there was relief. But Ravi felt something was wrong. Inside the container, the light was gone. The opening line was no longer glowing. Nalin checked the scanners again. His face turned pale. The readings had dropped suddenly. The object had changed state. Mehul ordered the transport to continue, but at a slower pace. No one spoke during the rest of the journey. They reached the research center by evening. The facility was large and hidden between hills. Tall fences surrounded it. Armed guards stood at every gate. The object was moved into a deep underground chamber. Thick doors sealed the room. Cameras and sensors were activated. Experts watched from a control room behind glass walls. Ravi stood quietly at the back. Hours passed. Nothing happened. Just as some began to relax, one sensor alarm beeped. Then another. The energy readings began to rise again. The object started glowing from the inside, brighter than ever before. The opening line spread slowly, opening wider than it had at the site. The hum returned, deep and steady. The experts realized something important. The object was not reacting by accident. It was responding to people. Nalin said the object might be designed to open only under certain conditions. Movement. Light. Presence. Time. Suddenly, the glow stopped rising. A soft sound came from inside. Not a hum. Not a vibration. It sounded like a slow release of pressure. The opening widened enough to reveal what was inside. Everyone leaned forward. Inside the object was another layer. Smooth. Transparent. And behind it, something moved. Ravi felt his breath stop. Whatever was hidden inside was not empty. And it was about to be revealed. The underground chamber was silent except for the steady sound of machines. Bright lights filled the room, reflecting off smooth metal walls. Everyone stood still, watching the strange object placed at the center of the chamber. The opening in the object was now wide enough to see inside clearly. A transparent inner layer separated the outer shell from whatever was hidden within. The soft light from inside filled the room with a calm glow. Ravi stood behind the experts, his hands cold despite the warmth in the air. His eyes were fixed on the movement inside the object. Something was shifting slowly, like it was adjusting to the open space. Nalin stepped closer to the glass wall and adjusted the sensors. His voice was low but steady as he explained what the readings showed. The energy inside was organized, not random. It moved in patterns. Mehul listened carefully. He asked the question everyone was thinking. Is it alive? Nalin did not answer right away. He studied the screens again and then spoke. He said the object did not show signs of life as humans understood it. but it showed awareness. That word made the room feel smaller. Inside the transparent layer, a shape became clearer. It was not sharp or rough. It had smooth edges and a balanced form. It floated gently, as if gravity had no effect on it. Ravi felt a strange sense of calm while looking at it. His fear faded for a moment, replaced by curiosity. The object inside seemed peaceful. One of the experts suggested sending a signal. A simple light pattern. Nothing aggressive. Mehul agreed but ordered them to be careful. A soft beam of light was projected toward the object. The moment the light touched the transparent layer, the shape inside responded. It shifted direction and moved closer to the opening. Gasps filled the control room. The shape changed slightly, adjusting its form. Lines of light appeared across its surface, matching the markings on the outer shell. Nalin smiled in disbelief. He said the markings were not warnings. They were instructions. The object was designed to communicate. Another expert suggested sound. A low-frequency tone. When the tone was played, the shape paused, then moved again. The light around it pulsed gently, like a response. Ravi felt something deep inside him stir. It felt familiar, even though he had never seen anything like this before. Suddenly, the transparent layer began to slide open. Slowly and smoothly, it moved aside without force. The shape inside drifted forward, stopping just before the edge. Alarms did not sound. Sensors remained stable. Everything indicated that the situation was safe. Mehul gave a careful order to stop all signals. The room went quiet again. The shape remained still. Then something unexpected happened. The lights in the chamber dimmed slightly. Not from failure but adjustment. The object was changing the environment. A soft wave of warmth passed through the room. Ravi felt it on his skin. It was not uncomfortable. It felt calming. Images appeared on the screens. Not pictures from cameras, but patterns of light and color. They shifted slowly, forming shapes that looked like land, water, and sky. The experts realized the object was sharing information. It was showing memories. Scenes passed one by one. Wide open lands with no buildings. Skies untouched by machines. A world long before roads and cities. Ravi felt tears form in his eyes, though he did not understand why. The images felt personal, like memories he had forgotten. Nalin spoke softly. He said the object had been placed underground to protect something. Not to hide it from humans, but to preserve it until the right time. Mehul asked what the right time meant. The images changed. Cities appeared. Roads. Machines. Humans working, building, changing the land. Then the images stopped. The shape inside the object pulsed once, brighter than before. The experts understood. The object had waited until humans reached a certain level of development. Until they could find it without destroying it. Ravi realized something important. If the highway had not been built carefully, if heavy machines had destroyed the ground without control, the object might have been damaged. It had waited for the right hands. The shape slowly moved back inside the shell. The transparent layer closed gently. The outer opening began to seal. Mehul stepped forward and asked if it was leaving. Nalin checked the readings. He said the object was not leaving. It was resting. It had completed its purpose for now. The room felt different. Lighter. As if a heavy weight had been lifted. Ravi took a deep breath. He understood that his simple job had changed everything. He was not special. He was just careful. The object had responded to care. As the chamber lights returned to normal, the experts began discussing next steps. They would study the data, protect the object, and learn from it. But Ravi knew one thing clearly. The object had not been buried as a threat. It was a message. And humanity had finally learned how to listen. Yet one question remained. Why had it chosen this place? And why had it reacted so strongly to Ravi? As Ravi looked at the sealed object one last time, a soft pulse of light passed through the shell. Almost like a goodbye. Or a promise. The research center changed after that day. What had once been a quiet and hidden place became one of the most protected locations in the country. Guards increased. New buildings were added. Scientists arrived from many places, all wanting to study the object found beneath the highway. The object itself remained sealed. It rested quietly in the underground chamber, showing no signs of movement. The warmth stayed steady, and the hum did not return. To many experts, it seemed as if the object had gone into a resting state after sharing its message. Ravi returned home a few days later. His life should have gone back to normal, but it did not. Everywhere he went, people recognized him. News had spread, though much of the truth was kept secret. People knew only that something important had been discovered, and that Ravi had found it. Ravi did not feel proud. He felt thoughtful. At night, he often remembered the images shown in the chamber. The open lands. The clear skies. The quiet world before machines. Those images stayed with him. A month later, Mehul contacted Ravi and asked him to return to the research center. Something had changed. When Ravi arrived, he noticed a different feeling in the air. It was calm but expectant. Nalin met him at the entrance and guided him to the control room. The screens showed normal readings, but one signal was new. The object had begun reacting again. Not with warmth or sound, but with light. Small pulses appeared at regular intervals. Nalin explained that the pulses followed a pattern. A pattern similar to a heartbeat. The strange part was this. The pulses increased whenever Ravi was near. The experts had tested it with many people. Scientists, guards, officials. The reaction was always the same. Small and steady. But when Ravi entered the chamber area, the pulses grew stronger. Ravi felt uneasy. He asked why this was happening. Nalin said the object might have bonded with him during the first contact. Ravi had touched it before anyone else. He had approached it with care, not force. The object remembered. Mehul asked Ravi if he was willing to help one last time. Ravi agreed, though fear filled his chest. He wanted answers as much as they did. Ravi entered the chamber alone. The object rested at the center, quiet and smooth. The moment Ravi stepped closer, a soft glow spread across its surface. The opening line appeared again. Ravi stopped a few steps away. He did not touch it. He simply stood and waited. The transparent inner layer opened slowly. The shape inside appeared once more, floating gently. It moved closer to Ravi, stopping at a safe distance. Ravi felt warmth spread through his body. Not heat, but comfort. His breathing slowed. His fear faded. Images filled his mind. Not on screens. Inside him. He saw the land as it once was. He saw humans learning to build, to shape the world. He saw mistakes and damage, but also care and progress. The object was showing him why it had been placed there. Long ago, those who created it had watched the planet change. They knew one day humans would reach deep into the ground. They placed the object where it could be found, but only by those who worked carefully. It was not meant to stop progress. It was meant to guide it. The object shared one final message. Not in words, but feeling. Build, but respect. Change, but protect. Take, but also give back. The images faded. The shape moved back into the shell. The transparent layer closed. The outer opening sealed for the final time. The glow dimmed and disappeared. The object went silent. When Ravi left the chamber, the experts rushed to him. Sensors showed no activity. The pulses had stopped completely. Nalin checked the readings again and again. The object had finished its purpose. Mehul asked Ravi what he had seen. Ravi spoke slowly and clearly. He explained the message as best as he could. The room was quiet when he finished. That day, a decision was made. The highway route would be changed. The land around the discovery site would be protected. New rules would be written for digging and building. The object would remain where it was, sealed and guarded, not as a weapon or a secret, but as a reminder. Ravi returned to his normal life after that. He continued working, but with a new role. He became a safety guide, teaching workers how to dig carefully and respect the land. Years passed. The story of the hidden object became legend. Some believed it was from another world. Others believed it was created by an ancient group. The truth mattered less than the lesson it left behind. One evening, Ravi stood near the old highway site. The road now curved gently around a protected area filled with trees and signs explaining the importance of balance between building and nature. Ravi smiled quietly. He had been just a worker doing his job. But sometimes, careful hands change the future. The land remained silent. And deep beneath it, the object rested. Watching. Waiting. Not for fear.